All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect out here preaching this gospel in sincerity and truth throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom, this your bro Matazah coming back with another video. And I have about 3 or 4 videos of basically people expressing their frustration, especially how these Jewish Edomites, these Jewish so-called white people, how it's coming out. They control the American government, which these devils, they've always influenced American politics, policies and laws. But now this information is now coming to the forefront, because they see the direction that America is going in and they don't like it. And I'm talking about these American devils, these patriot, right-wing, American first Edomites. So it's basically it's a division between, the Jewish Edomites, the Jewish so-called white people, and the patriot, right-wing American white people over here in America. These patriots. So it's a division there, and things are starting to get a lot more heated between these two groups, which they're the same people, but they're divided, because they're both Edomites. You have Esau over here in America, and then you got the Amalekites, the tribe of Amalek, that are the so-called Jews, which there are 2 different tribes of Edomites, but they're still all Edomites. They're still all the same race and nation of people. You just have one group that controls and have more authority and power over the other. And this is what the Edomites in America, these patriots, this is what they're tired of. They're not taking too kindly to a foreign nation that has control over their government of the country that they live in. This is why now you hear all this talk about America first, because they're tired of the U.S. putting, these foreign countries above American citizens. But they can't do nothing about it because these foreign countries have control over your government and over your laws and policies, even your president. They're blackmailing your damn president right now, with this whole Epstein files, which that's a distraction. Even though the things that these devils do behind closed doors is getting exposed, and a lot of that shit is real, as far as Trump, having to do shit like that, as far as sucking off Bill Clinton and shit like that. A lot of that shit is real, but even though it's real and these things most likely actually happen, doesn't mean that they're not using it as a distraction for a greater purpose of things that they want to bring to America, which we all know what that is, which is this digital enslavement system. Digital IDs linking your real personal identity to a profile online, and more draconian measures. Now they're talking about carbon tax. They're starting to bring that forth now. So that's really where they're bringing things, basically a open prison for the population that's going to be controlled by the Israelis. But they got to throw a few distractions in the news, a few things that happen here and there, to keep your mind off of what they're doing in the background. So the more that people realize that these Israelis have control, and influence over their everyday lives, and that you're basically slaving away and working, for these low wages just for your tax dollars to go towards better in their lives, the more pissed off that these Edomites over here in America are going to be, these patriots. You see, so, without further ado, let's just go ahead and play some of these videos that I got. We'll start off with this one right here. Basically, these people are in front of this council, basically expressing how they hate that the American flag has been flown alongside of these Israeli flags, you know? So let's just play this real quick.
For those of you who are not aware, there are currently 6 Israeli flags, but only 1 American flag being flown at the center of Pier Village. I find this incredibly un-American. The symbols and flags being flown there should reflect the United States of America and not the State of Israel. It has been over a month since I spoke to this council, and the flags are still being flown, which means this council and this Shabbos Goy of a mayor has taken zero action to have flags removed.
This is treason. When I enlisted the United States Army, I swore an oath to America and the American flag, not the nation of Israel or the flag of Israel. What this really...
You know, and that remind me of something what he just said. You know what I'm saying? Because you had another, some guy that was in the military that basically he posted something online about how he wasn't in support about what America was doing as far as serving the Israeli government, you know, and I think he wrote like a post or something online, you know, expressing his thoughts. And the American military, they, you know, I think they talked to him or something like that, but he made a video basically saying that he took an oath to America and not a foreign nation. So he doesn't get why him expressing his thoughts about a foreign nation is going to get him in trouble, when if he speaks about any other country, then it's okay. Even if he speak about his own country, none of that would have happened. But because he speaks about Israel, then they bring him in front of a council and basically threaten with dismissing him from the military and so on and so forth. You know, basically talking to him and telling him not to make posts like that no more and shit like that. So, you know, it's a division on all sides, even within the military. You know, you got different officials, people that's high ranking in the military, they're divided, you know, because you got some that want to follow Trump and the direction that he's leading America in. And then you got the ones that's saying that, no, we need to uphold the Constitution because that's the foundation that America was built upon, you know? So it's division, and that's going to lead to a lot of different things happening in this country that's going to cause sedition and uprising, you know, and insurrection, you know. So those are the times that are coming ahead because people see what's going on, man. You know, so this is a Israeli takeover, and at this point, they not even hiding it no more. You know what I'm saying? They making it be known. So
He represents his conquest. America is under Israeli occupation.
The display of these flags publicly in your town is an obscenity. It's deeply offensive to most people, including many Jews, including this Jew.
I can't bring my son there because he understands there's a genocide happening. The International Court of Justice says that Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal, and we have to walk under his flag every day if you want to go for a jog. Are you kidding? We can do better than this. Why are there 6 of those flags? If you want to be inclusive, fly somebody else's flag too. Why are there 6 of those flags and only 1 representing this country?
To have my little 7-year-old look up at those flags, you know, put a sting in me.
My opposition to those Israeli flags flying in Long Branch.
And I am up here tonight because I have watched politics surrounding the state of Israel corrupt not just national politics, but now it's affecting my neighborhood and the town in which I grew up in.
Listen, I love my Jewish people, my Palestinian, I love everyone. But my son is a veteran. He's on the Moss Mile. When he came back, he couldn't believe there were Israel flags. He's like, Mom, I'm a veteran, and you have these flags here? Yes, that's my son, and I'm proud of him.
Tonight, 6 Israel flags flying Long Branch. That is 6 too many.
We're Americans. We don't go and raise Chinese flags or Russian flags on their soil, right? Considered disrespectful. And that's what an American flag is. something to respect. People die for that flag.
I would appreciate if you guys take the flags down. This is America. Thank you.
Always America first.
Okay, so, you know, and they didn't die for that damn flag, man. They died for these Jewish bankers, you know, these elites. That's who they died for. You know, and even that is coming out. This is why, you know, you have such low counts as far as people joining the military, because they know that it's always been a banker's war. You know, people realize now that they go to war, they're just dying for a corrupt nation, a corrupt group of people that has taken over the American government. You know, even the American government itself, man, you going to put your life on the line for oil. You know what I'm saying? You're going to put your life on the line for, you know, different resources and other people's lands. You know what I'm saying? Then they use the media to try to demonize these foreign nations just so people can join the military thinking they fighting for a righteous cause and shit like that, man. But really, they just going to take their ass over and, you know, put them in debt and extract their resources and so on and so forth. Just all manners of corruption and evil. You know, and you just dying to make the elites richer. So people are starting to realize that now, which is why you got low amounts of people that's, you know, trying to get into the military now. You know what I'm saying? Because all this information is coming out about how, you know, they are not what they seem to be. You know, so let's grab something real quick. You know, let's grab this because people are fed up with these Jewish rats. But this is Obadiah 1 and 2, and it says, "Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen; thou art greatly despised." You know, which really, this is all these Edomites in general. People are starting to look at these Edomites with a sense of disgust, man. You know, you see all the things that's going on with these, you know, these preachers and shit that's in these churches, these Edomite preachers. You know what I'm saying? All this information coming out in videos and news clips about how these guys are being walked out in handcuffs because they, you know, been found out to be on these child pornography websites. You know what I'm saying? In the middle of their sermons, you know, people walking up to them, putting their ass in handcuffs because they touching little boys and all different types of shit, man. Then you got Trump, the whole thing with the fouls and how all of these people that's, you know, amongst, you know, that's in these politics and shit like that, snorting coke and, you know, child trafficking and sucking off each other. So Esau has been looked at with disgust, you know, and even more those Israeli rats that's over there in Israel right now. You know, as far as what they're doing to the Palestinians and how they trying to clear out that land, you know, doing an ethnic cleansing to try to build some type of utopia over there on the Gaza Strip. You know, and they're basically trying to push the Palestinians into these other nations, you know, and basically have them be refugees in these other different nations and have them take them in while they take over their land. You know, so people are looking at these people with a side eye, man. You know, and like I said, it's not just those Jewish rats, but, you know, just Esau in general. You know, people are starting to despise these Edomites more and more. You know, so when they fall, when they go down, man, people are not going to be upset about it. You know, there's a scripture that talks about how the Edomite woman, she's basically going to be, it says his widows shall not weep, which means that, you know, the women of their nation, hell, they not gonna, they want their men to go down, you know, because they know that they're evil and corrupt. You know, the Edomite woman, the so-called white woman, she want the men of her nation to fall, you know, because he doesn't like women anyway. He likes children, you know, so it doesn't benefit her in any way, you know, for this devil to stay in the power, you know, because they're corrupt. You know what I'm saying? And everything that they're doing is not benefiting the people anyway. So why would they want the men of their nation to keep ruling? Because they're just making everything worse, you know? So the Edomite woman, she's ready for the new kings to come into power. You know, the Israelite man, you know, and really the world in general, the animals, you know, the earth is ready to heal itself again. The animals are ready to, you know, drink clean water and breathe clean air again. But now, since Esau is in power, now you got fucking rabbits and deers walking around with tumors and shit growing off of them. You know, just fucking the whole animal kingdom up. So these devils are greatly despised, man. So everybody, even the fucking earth, is waiting on this man to go down. You know, even the sun, that the Lord created, you know, to bring life and energy to the world, despises these devils. This is why they boil up when they get sunburned. You know what I'm saying? They skin start blistering up. Hell, even the sun hates these motherfuckers, man. So, you know, they are literally against nature. You know, this is why they have all of this technology, and they try to create things, you know, artificially to go against what the Heavenly Father created. They are literally contrary to anything that's natural. You know, anything that's natural and good, you know, that the Lord created, they try to create an artificial, you know, version of it, which always turns out to be shit, you know? So, yeah, like I said, man, these people are greatly despised. You know, sorry about the rant, but let's grab another video real quick.
Because the West is itself gripped by a cultural death wish. The Western culture that stands against the Jews is going down. The West will survive only if it decides to love itself and if it decides to love us, the Jewish people, instead of disdaining us and trying to erase what makes the Jewish people special and what's made the West special too. Because the West is itself gripped by a cultural death wish. The Western culture that stands against the Jews is going down. The West will survive only if it decides to love itself and if it decides to love us, the Jewish people, instead of disdaining us and trying to erase what makes the Jewish people special and what's made the West special too.
You heard that? So, you know, this Israeli woman, she basically said that you Americans, you know, the West, she said that y'all have a death wish if you despise them. If you despise Israel, you despise the Jewish people, she said that you have a death wish, you know, because you have to realize they control everything, you know, and if you're against them and they control everything in your country, then they can make you suffer. You know, they can punish you. They can find ways to punish you and make your life a living hell if you despise them and they own everything in your country, even your government and your military. You see, so she said that, hey, if you despise us, if you don't love us, then you have a death wish, you know? So that's a threat that she's making towards you Americans, man. You know? And I've seen other videos like this as well, where these Jewish people, you know, are threatening you Americans as far as you not wanting to serve them. You not wanting to send your sons to these wars to die on their behalf. You know, you're not willing to bow down and be their slave and do whatever they tell you to do. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing that, then they're basically threatening you with making you suffer. You know what I'm saying? They're threatening you with you know, saying that your country is going to fall without us, you know, so on and so forth. So that's the same thing that she's saying, you know, so they're threatening you Americans. They're saying that, hey, you got a death wish if you don't like us, if you despise us, then you got a death wish because you're going to fall without us. You can't survive without us. That's what she's saying, you know. And there was something else I was going to say too. I forgot exactly what I was going to say. It might hit me later. Yeah, but that's pretty much it on that. So let's grab something real quick. You know, let's grab this. And this is Isaiah 19:2, and it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. So there's a great division, amongst the American people. You know, there's a great division amongst these Edomites, you know, between the Jewish Edomites and, you know, these American patriot Edomites. This is why it says Egyptians against Egyptian, because we know that America is a modern day spiritual Egypt. You know, so when it says Egyptian against Egyptian, it's talking about you Americans being against each other, and you different classes, you know, you different races of people being against each other as well, like Edomites against Edomites. You know what I'm saying? Jewish people against Americans. You know what I'm saying? Hell, even, you know, different races of people, because we know that America is a big melting pot of different races. So it's basically, it's going to be everybody against each other. You know what I'm saying? But this division between these patriots and these Jewish rats, you know what I'm saying, there's a lot of tension that's there. You know, because this has to do with America, this country that these patriots believe is theirs, which this country is not theirs either. You know, because they took it from, you know, the so-called Native Americans and the so-called Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, this shit, this land is not theirs either. And ultimately, America is going to get destroyed anyway. But it's going to go out with a lot of uprising, riots, and a lot of blood, you know, ultimately. So this is what's getting ready to happen. You know, Egyptian against Egyptian. You know what I'm saying? And I could not figure out what the fuck I was thinking of, what I was going to say. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of important, but like I said, it might come to me in a minute. Well, until that come to me, let's go to this next video real quick.
Not a lot of people know this about Hollywood. I lived in LA and I had friends that were pretty famous. When you become a certain level of famous, you are required to take Kabbalah. You see all the celebrities that have the red strings. If they're at a certain level, they do it. Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. Everything in Hollywood is owned by the Jews. They're great.
Yep, everything in Hollywood, all these major companies and so on and so forth. So your president is no different than these actors and actresses in Hollywood. You know how they're controlled by these Israelis. You know what I'm saying? They're controlled as well, these celebrities and things like that. But not only them, you know what I'm saying, your president, you know? And the higher you get up, you know what I'm saying, you got to do some wicked shit that they can blackmail you on just to keep you in control. You know, so if you get out of line, they got dirt on you to keep you in line. You know what I'm saying? So that's no different than with Donald Trump and these other presidents and shit like that. You know, that whole Epstein file thing, that's just a form of blackmail, you know, to keep these devils in line. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, it's a distraction as well. But, you know, we know how these devils get down as well. You know, trafficking children, touching children, and you know, sacrificing children, killing children, and just all different types of shit, man. You know, a lot of wickedness and corruption. You know? So let's play some more.
This enemy is Christian. So if you want to make it in Hollywood, you do what they say, you take the Kabbalah and do all this satanic shit. At the core of Jewish religion, it is Satanism. And you can whine and wench all you want. I mean, it has fucked many people up. Mentally, physically, spiritually. Your main enemy is Christians. So that's why I say all you Christian Zionists are retarded. You want to make it in Hollywood, you will be against Christianity. It started happening more in 1948 when we got their...
You know, she said these Christian Zionists, because you have these Americans that's over here that claim to be Christians. And like I said before, you know, if you claim to be a Christian as far as Christianity, then you are a Zionist. You know, which a Zionist is someone who supports the Israelis, you know, those fake ass Jewish rats. You know, you are a Zionist if you are somebody that supports, you know what I'm saying, the things that they're doing. You acknowledge that they are the true chosen people, which they're not. But you know what I'm saying, you are a Zionist if you are all for approving in approval of those Israeli rats. You know, basically that's what makes you a Zionist, if you are on their side. so to speak. So you got a lot of these Christians, they are Zionists as well, knowingly and unknowingly, because you got a lot of them, they outright support the nation of Israel, as far as those gutter rats over there in the land now. Some of them, they knowingly support them, and then you got some of them, they are Zionists unknowingly, because when you classify yourself as a Christian that's in Christianity, then you're basically saying that I acknowledge that those people over there are the chosen people, which they're not the chosen people. But when you claim to be a Christian in Christianity, and believe in Jesus Christ and shit like that, then that whole Christianity doctrine is built around the belief that those people are the chosen people. So you're a Zionist unknowingly because you're supporting that doctrine, as far as you believe that those people are really God's people, when you claim to be a Christian that's in Christianity, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying?
Jewish blessing here. You know what that blessing brought us? Debauchery, pornography, gay shit. This is what I mean. You Christians are weird. They are all for this, but you'll sit here and talk shit to gay people here whenever your beloved Israel is one of the most perverted, debauched ass places. It's basically Babylon, and here y'all are sticking up for them and shit. Like, that's why you guys are just as brainwashed as you think the left is.
And they're not Babylon. Babylon is America, which Babylon means confusion. So when you think about Great Babylon, you think about great confusion, which that's America, because unlike the nation of Israel, over here in America, you can have all different types of religions living in one big melting pot. A lot of confusion here. People claiming to be a different sex and all of that, which that's going on over there in Israel too. But America, you got like a million different religions over here. So you got a million different churches that's all teaching a different thing, and then you can create your own church that teaches a certain doctrine. You know what I'm saying? You can teach that people can marry animals or some shit over here if you wanted to. If you wanted to start a religion or a church like that, you'll get the green light to do some shit like that. So this is why this place is Great Babylon. It's all manners of confusion over here. All these different races and nations over here with their different gods and idols and beliefs, and it's just one big melting pot of different races and beliefs. So it's just a great big recipe for confusion over here. So that's one of the few of many reasons why this place is Great Babylon. So let's matter of fact, let's play this other video real quick.
They're canceling DEI across America in businesses and schools except for one group of people. And guess which group of people that is?
8:44, everybody. And a groundbreaking announcement by the U.S. Commerce Department this week will result in a historic expansion for Jewish businesses, not only in New York, but across the country.
Yeah, Jewish businesses will now be classified as minority business enterprises, making them eligible for billions of dollars in grants, contract, and loans.
So now they're going to be getting access to billions of dollars of taxpayers' money for free. DEI is canceled for others, but enhanced for them, huh? Listen to the explanation.
Duvi Honig is the founder and CEO of the Orthodox Jewish Chamber of Commerce.
Think about it. The Hispanic community is 19% of the U.S. population. Yeah. The African American is 15% of the U.S. population. The Jewish population is 2%.
And did you catch that subtlety? 19% Hispanic, 15% black, and 2% Jewish. They're counting themselves and listing themselves as a racial minority, not a religious one. Everybody except for themselves counts them as white. So are they a religious group or racial group?
He said everybody but themselves count themselves as white, which, I wouldn't say everybody classify them as white, because you have this, like I said, you have this division between these patriots, these patriot Edomites that's over here in America, and between these Jewish rats. And if you let them tell it, they'll tell you that they two different races of people, which they're not, but they despise each other so much that they would rather be two different races. You know what I'm saying? One is basically Edomites that's claiming to be a particular religion, you know what I'm saying? And then you have these Edomites that claim to be Christians and shit like that. So it's a religious war. It's a tribal war, you know what I'm saying? Because we know that Amalek, these Jewish people, are a different tribe than these average patriot American devils over here in America, but still they're all the same nation of people. They're all Edomites. But let them tell it, they'll tell you that they two different races of people, which they're not. They're just the same people. They're just divided, you know, because you got one group that's wielding power over the other, you know, wielding authority and power and influence over the other, and basically taking everything from the other group. So, you know what I'm saying, the other people, the ones that it's not benefiting, they're pissed off, which is these Americans. You know, everybody considers them white except themselves. You know, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between Mark Zuckerberg and some other Edomite that work at Walmart if they was in the same room. Hell, they the same fucking people, you know, but leave it to them, they two different races, you know, which is bullshit. You know,
it's whatever benefits them in the moment, isn't it? And the icing on the cake?
Jews are always the underdog, and it doesn't make sense. Like 2% of we're the biggest, smallest minority in America,
Yeah.
you know, and we had no voice. We had no eligibility to access our taxpayers' dollars as the biggest minority and the biggest suppressed people.
They have no voice? Who owns the media? And then the big...
Oh, man, you can't make this shit up, man. He said we have no voice. They own all the media companies. You know what I'm saying? All these different institutions as far as these schools and what they want people to believe. They own all of that. You know? They put on the internet and shit like that they're the smartest group of people on the planet, have the highest IQ and all this different shit. They're the ones that do that. Then they own all the news outlets, all these different newspaper printing companies and shit like that. They are the main ones with a voice. You know, then they're very biased. They have these news companies basically trying to put them in a good light, making them like they're the victims and so on and so forth. So y'all definitely have a voice, my boy. You know, the only ones that really are being heard is y'all. And when people speak online against y'all, then y'all delete the videos and shit like that. So y'all have control over other people's voice. Not only do y'all have a voice, y'all have control over what other people say. You know? And that's laughable. Biggest minority. Okay. And it says biggest oppressed people. How are y'all oppressed when y'all own every fucking thing that's over here in Great Babylon, America? How are y'all oppressed? Y'all are the ones doing the oppressing. Just look at the people over there in Palestine, the things that y'all doing to them. Y'all sniping children and all different types of shit. Children showing up to hospitals, and you know what I'm saying, you got those people that what are they called? The news people that go to different countries and they, you know, they what are they called, man? You know, it's just these news groups that go to different countries to get the scoop on what's really going on. They killing them off. And then those news groups that go report, these reporters that go to these different countries to get the scoop on what's really going on, they're reporting that children are ending up with bullets lodged in their skulls and shit like that from these Israeli soldiers shooting children, you know, like target practice or some shit. You know, a lot of these children end up with bullet fragments in their brains and all different types of shit, man. And they doing all that to cleanse them out of that land so they can use it for their own purpose. Y'all the biggest fucking oppressors. How are y'all oppressed when y'all are the ones doing it? You know, got the American people struggling in a state of survival, you know, just paying their bills, you know what I'm saying, spending less time at home, you know, causing stress on the families, keeping the wages at the same. Meanwhile, everybody's getting laid off and fired because they're getting replaced with AI that's been set up by your people. So y'all are the biggest fucking oppressors. Y'all are the biggest fucking cancer on this earth, man. And this is why the Lord is coming to destroy you fucking devils, man, because y'all play the victim, but y'all are the ones that are fucking everybody over. You know? So that's a damn lie.
Biggest oppressed group in America? I would love to see all the fact checkers fact check this, but unfortunately they own all the fact checkers too. We're not waking people up, they're waking people up with their own arrogance, and they're being too blatant about their control of things.
Yep, exactly. You know, and it was a sign. I think it was on this last video. Give me 1 second.
Not a lot of people know that.
There was a sign on this video that I wanted to. This sign right here. And it says, keep all your Jewish blessings. And on his sign, he got, it says communism. It says sodomy, pedophilia, gay marriage, transgenderism, pornography, usury, debt, slavery, white replacement, endless wars, child trafficking, media, tech, censorship, mass vax campaign, racial tensions, open borders. And like he might have some other stuff under there. But he's basically saying that this is all that Jewish people bring to America. Really, when you think about it, when you read this sign, this is just Esau in general. This is the Edomite race, nation in general. This is not just, focused towards the Jewish population. This is you so-called white people in general. Y'all all represent the things that he had on this list, that he got on this list. Usury, debt, slavery. That's Esau, man. All this shit. White, and that white replacement thing is funny because, these Edomites that's over here in America, these patriots, these American first Edomites, they have this theory that the Jewish population are trying to basically wipe out the white race, which they're all so-called white people. They're all Edomites, right? But they feel like these Jewish rats have an agenda to wipe out the white race by brainwashing their women to date other races. It's silly as hell. But this is why when you see videos of like online, you see Jake, so-called black man, mainly with, some fine ass Edomite woman, some fine ass white woman. And you got these white dudes all in the comments, basically making comments about how white women are being brainwashed by the media to date monkeys, and what I'm saying, they call Jake monkeys and shit, but they'll be in the comments talking about how she's brainwashed, she's falling for the Jewish propaganda and shit like that, which there is no Jewish propaganda, my man, to make Edomite women date outside their race, because they've been wanting Jake, but that's like a coping mechanism for these Edomites in America. They feel like the women of their nation is being brainwashed by Zionist media to make them date outside their race, to make them date so-called black men, which they're just bullshit. Like I said, that's a coping mechanism for Esau, So under that video, you have the comments that they have little posts or something, they have a Jewish dude, a Jewish DJ, and they'll have like DJ race mixer or some shit like that, like the Jewish guy is making your women date other races, or just some type of propaganda type shit. But, like I said, that's just Esau's coping mechanism, because his women are dating Israelite men at a higher rate, but they're blaming it on brainwashing by the Jews. You know what I'm saying? So, man, you devils, y'all just fucking finished, man. So let's grab something real quick. Let's grab these last two. This is Proverbs 22:16. It says, let's just read this one. This NIV. It says, one who oppresses the poor to increase his wealth, and one who gives gifts to the rich, both come to poverty. And let's read NLT. It says, a person who gets ahead by oppressing the poor or by showering gifts on the rich will end in poverty. You see, and that's basically what the Lord is about to get ready to do. He's about to strip you Edomites of all your riches, all your possessions, all your power, all your authority, your top position on the earth. You're going to get brought to hell, which is a low condition. You're going to get brought down. You know, and like I said, everything is just going to get stripped away from you. You know, because that's all y'all do. Y'all cutting out the middle class. Y'all creating this giant gap between the poor and the rich, you know, which they're just going to have the rich elites ruling at the top over everybody that's poor. And they're going to be basically taking care of their own, which is other rich people, you know, looking out for each other. This is why you got the Trump doing all these different things that's benefiting the elites, making the rich richer, but it's making you poorer, you know. So that's them showering gifts on the rich. But it says they're going to end in poverty, because ultimately the Lord is going to get ready to judge these devils, and he's going to get ready to take everything away from them. You know, so let's grab this one as well. And this is Isaiah 10 in 1 through 2. And this is the NIV version. And it says, "Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed." You see? And it says, "Of my people, making their widows prey in robbery and robbing the fatherless," which, you know, ultimately this is talking about Israel, you know, the real Israelites, you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But, you know, it says, "Woe to those who make unjust laws," you know, and that's Esau. You know, this is why you're going to have all these people rising up, riots, you know, a lot more tension between, you know, these different Edomite groups, insurrection, you know, and sedition, and basically just people trying to take matters into their own hands because they're tired of the way that this country is going. They know that it's taken over by Jewish influence, and, you know, that basically people are ready for a change, and that change is going to come in the form of a lot of death, you know, to say the least. So, you know, with that being said, man, I'm going to go ahead and give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.